Hi, I'm Christian Schalk, and I am a product manager for Google AppSheet, and I'll be walking through how to build AI-enabled app solutions with AppSheet, Workspace, and Google Cloud AI. Before getting into the AI portion of this talk, let's take a moment to review what AppSheet is and what are its value propositions. The reality is that most business processes today remain under-digitized and are often invisible to central IT organizations. Being under-digitized means that businesses cannot operate efficiently, resulting in delays and cost overruns. Traditionally, the task of digitizing business processes required professional software development, which can be costly and tedious. Fortunately, with Google AppSheet, digitizing business processes has never been so easy, as even non-technical citizen developers can build their own digital solutions without having to write any code. From an IT perspective, AppSheet can serve as a cost-saving and efficiency-boosting add-on component to more sophisticated IT infrastructures. So AppSheet enables business users to efficiently build front-end user interfaces and workflows to complicate sophisticated back-end IT infrastructures. With the rollout of new AI enhancements in Google Cloud, Workspace, and AppSheet, the value of digitizing business processes has never been greater. So what is AppSheet? First off, it's a no-code technology that allows anyone to build business apps. It's extremely powerful in that it automatically provides a rich mobile and desktop user experience for its end users. It's also extremely agile in that it allows teams to quickly prototype and iterate business apps in real time. Finally, it's also included in most Google Workspace editions. So if you are a Google Workspace customer, you will most likely already have AppSheet available to you with no additional expense. The overall AppSheet platform acts as a glue or orchestrator of Google Cloud and external services, enabling business users to create business applications that integrate with diverse data source options, including both Google data services such as Sheets, Drive, Cloud, SQL, BigQuery, and so on, as well as third-party data sources such as Salesforce, AWS, and other SaaS platforms. For UI development, AppSheet allows for automatic generation and customization of mobile and web UI desktop applications. AppSheet also comes with its own robust automation engine, allowing for granular control of event-based business processes that are common in business use cases. For security and administration, AppSheet provides robust enterprise governance, so admins can have full visibility and control of their entire organization's AppSheet usage. Finally, AppSheet is now equipped with integrated AI features that enhance both the app builder's experience as well as the end users. In addition to being a no-code development platform, AppSheet is also usable by other software development personas, including low-code and even professional developers. For the low-code persona, AppSheet integrates with Workspace's AppScript technology, and for professional developers, AppSheet can easily be integrated with a myriad of other cloud services and APIs, thus enabling sophisticated IT solutions. Let's review how no-code AppSheet users can build AI-powered solutions without writing any code. A new feature currently being launched is Gemini in AppSheet, where a user can simply describe the application specifications and it will generate the application per the requirements provided. In addition to Gemini and AppSheet, a new feature will be previewed in Q2 of 2024 that enables AI-based action creation. In AppSheet, actions perform specific operations within an app, from navigation support to data manipulation and so on. Let's take a look at Gemini in AppSheet in action. Okay, so here we are in the My Apps page in AppSheet, and so I'm going to go ahead and create a new app. And now, as you can see, we have the Start with Gemini option. So I'll click on Start with Gemini, and this brings us up a little greeting, and then it's basically asking us what we would like our app to do. So I'm going to say create a project tracking app with related tasks. All right, so just hit enter, and that will go through and create a new app based off of our request here. Okay, so here we go. We have a couple of new tables. So this is basically a new schema where we have projects, tasks, subtasks, and even statuses. So this looks good enough. So let's go ahead and create the app. And here we go. We have our new app. let's take a look at the data. So we have different tables here, projects, tasks, and then even some subtasks and so forth. All right, so now let's go ahead and check out the app. So we have our projects, tasks. If I were to drill down on any one of these tasks, I can see what project it belongs to and so forth. So let's see, let's go ahead and add a new task. So just give it like a project for the website. And I'm just going to say new task. And I can set a due date. I can give it a priority, like 5 or 4, doesn't really matter. And I'm just filling it out, and I'll just say in progress and hit save. So now we have a new task that we've just created. And if I go back here, I can actually drill down and see any subtask, or I can also check out what project ID. So it belongs to the website project. So if I were to go to projects here, and I click on website, I'll see that I have different subtasks, I guess. All right. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how quickly you can build out a application, a fully functional application that comes even seeded with some test data here. And it set up the relationships entirely for me. I can then go back and reiterate or start over again and try some new variations. And if I like what I have, I can continue to refine the application. Moving on to the low-code persona, AppSheet users can build more sophisticated AI-powered solutions by leveraging Workspace's AppScript platform. Here's an example of how to extend AppSheet and Workspace with just a little bit of coding. And here's a viable low-code AppSheet and Google Workspace AI architecture. As you can see in this diagram, AppSheet can be interfaced with Workspace's low-code AppScript technology, which can then serve as a connector to Google Cloud's Gemini API. Overall, the AppScript platform provides API access to more than 30 Workspace products, such as Docs, Gmail, Sheets, Slides, Drive, and so on. AppScript can also interface directly with Gemini, thus enabling rich AI-enhanced solutions, all with only a little bit of code. To use AppSheet and AppScript with AI, the following are required. An AppScript project, which contains the code to interface with Google Cloud AI. A Google Cloud Platform, or GCP, project along with an associated billing account. This is needed to generate an API key. While not an absolute requirement, but extremely useful, the Google AI Studio environment provides a full testing environment along with examples for AI experimentation. Let's take a look at how to build a low-code AI solution built with AppSheet, AppScript, and Google Cloud AI. Okay, so for our next demo, basically, as we mentioned, we actually need to integrate Workspace, AppSheet, and AppScript. We'll start off with an AppScript project. So in this case, I happen to have an AppScript project that will contain the code to actually talk to Gemini directly. So I open the script, and as you can see, I have a function call here, Gemini, where I call the Gemini API, or the endpoint. I provide the API key that I generate in AI Studio. And then the rest of the code is just to put together a JSON request along with the options here. And so that's where it's using URL fetch app. All right, so let's return over to, or let's go to AI Studio. So AI Studio, as mentioned, is a very helpful way to experiment and get useful ideas. So in this case, in order to get started though, you'll need to create an API key. So if I click here, that will just double check to see if you have a Google Cloud project with billing enabled. And then once you have that set up, you're off and running. And so you can begin to create new things. You can create prompts like a chat prompt, freeform prompt, which has, you can provide multimodal things such as like an image and a bit of text, and then send that over to Gemini to analyze and such. So to give you an example of what that means, I have a library of different prompts that I've been saving. And so in this case, I loaded this with an image, and then I want to just ask Gemini what's wrong with this picture. So just to provide a generic analysis. And so the nice thing about AI Studio is that you can just run it really quickly on the fly, and it actually goes against the model that you select. In this case, it's Gemini 1.0 Pro Vision. And we see a very simple response saying the water from the sprinklers is spraying the sidewalk and the cars. So no big deal there. So this is like a very, very kind of preliminary example of how you can start playing around with Gemini, or essentially the Google AI Studio, what it gives you. So when I look at this picture, I can see that there's a problem, right? So I got the idea of actually creating like an automated maintenance ticket thing where I can essentially have people in, say, a corporate environment log issues that they see around their workspace. All right. So in this case, I have kind of a test prompt where I say, okay, there's a broken sink, maybe there's a water leaking. And so the prompt is a little bit more precise. I'm saying, if there's a serious problem in this picture, I want to create a title severity level between low, medium, and high, and a description for this maintenance ticket. And I also say, very importantly, the response must be in JSON. Now, JSON allows us to do better, I would say, mapping from the actual components within the what's being shown in the picture, and have that be easily plugged into an application. All right, so I click Run, and then let's get the response back from Gemini. And there we go. We see the title, the sink is leaking, it's a high severity, and a description. It's basically the sink in the bathroom needs to be repaired. So in that sense, we're pretty good. We can experiment, and later on, if I wanted to, I could start generating code and then plug that into an actual application. So for this simple case, though, where I showed how to identify a photo, there we go. I'll just click over here. And so I'm going to use this simple case, and I happen to have a AppSheet app where I have a very simple workflow where I said when a new photo is recorded, create the call to Gemini, and this will allow us to call our AppScript code. And so that's where I call this function called call Gemini. I send the prompt, like what's wrong with this picture, and then I also send the URL of the image, and then the Gemini response will come back, and it's just a basic text response. And then I can plug that back in to the application and have it rendered. So let's just give this application a whirl. I'm going to go ahead and click on plus. I'm going to grab a photo. And in this case, I happen to have a photo of a plant. So you might see in a corporate environment, maybe one of the plants is not doing so well. And so this could be like a way for an employee to log this as an issue. So what's wrong with this photo? Let's ask Gemini. So Gemini will get the photo over the wire as I'm using AppScript to transmit it to Gemini. Gemini will then analyze it and provide us with a very simple response: is the plant is dead. There we go. We got the plumbing is working. So that's like a good first step. Now let's move it up a notch to our second use case that I showed in AI Studio. In this case, I have two automations. One is when a maintenance issue is recorded, a photo is snapped. I call the Gemini, but in this case, I'm calling a function that says identify management issue. Again, I'm sending the prompt and the image URL, and then I'm getting some return values. And these return values are very precise. If you recall, it's getting a JSON response, and I'm mapping the response into some fields in my database. Also, just to show you, back on the database, I have a number of fields here, but you'll see title, severity, and description. And so those will be plugged into with the response that I'm bringing back from my Gemini call. And also, more specifically, if it's a high severity issue, I want to generate an email and send that back to a reviewer. And so in this case, I think we're good to go. We can give the app a quick test. So first off, I'm going to create a new record. So I'll snap a photo. In this case, I'm going to take a photo of a printer that's obviously in need of repair. So it's pretty messy here. I'll click Save. And then that's going to send that photo back to my AppSheet app, store it in Drive, and it will call the first automation, which will essentially call the script to analyze it. And so let me just show you really quickly the code. Well, here's the response that's coming back from Gemini. It says the printer's jammed, it's a high severity, and there's a further description there. And just to really quickly show you that code, I have this bit of code right here. Identify maintenance issue, where the prompt image URL, and I have that same prompt that we had seen in AI Studio, and then I just take back the JSON response and parse it, and then I send it back to AppSheet. So pretty straightforward stuff. Now, if you recall, also in the app, I would send an email to the reviewer if the issue is high. So let's go over to our email, our inbox, and I can see that we do have a high severity maintenance issue that needs review. So I can see the same severity, the title, the description. So I'll click yes, I've reviewed it. Let's go ahead and have this ticket logged. And so in this case, just by simply updating the record, kicking off a second automation, when it's reviewed and approved, I can then call a generation script, which will basically generate a new doc. And so that's where that bit of code is over here to create a maintenance doc, this is essentially a stand-in for actually triggering a ticket logging system, right? So it will generate a brand new doc based off of a template, and then it will send an email, this time using AppScript, and it will attach all the information as well as the image, right? So I'll go back to the inbox, and there we go. We have a new email coming back saying, okay, here is the maintenance issue doc, and let's open up that link. And there's our generated doc. So we have the printer is jammed, the date, severity, the description, as well as the image of the issue. So hopefully you can see without too much coding, I was able to start with AI Studio, practice around with some different prompts, and then create like a working model with AppSheet, AppScript, and Gemini AI in the background. As you just saw, with some relatively simple coding, an AI solution can be built with AppSheet and AppScript, where it provides low-code API access to Workspace's many services, while also providing direct access to Google AI's API endpoints. Moving on to the professional developer persona, let's discuss how to build more sophisticated AI solutions with AppSheet and Google Cloud AI. First, let's review the requirements for using GCP and AppSheet for AI. As you can see, they're almost identical to AppSheet and Workspace, but in this case, an AppScript project is obviously not required. As before, a Google Cloud Platform or GCP project is needed along with an associated billing account. And similar to before as well, AI Studio is also an extremely useful tool for experimenting with different AI solutions. However, for GCP, the Google Cloud Platform has an AI Studio built into the Cloud Console. It is called Vertex AI Studio, and it provides an even more robust set of tools for AI experimentation and code generation. By bringing the full Google Cloud Platform into the architecture, a broad set of Google Cloud technologies can be employed. So for example, if you may want to take your code that you generate, you can run that in Cloud Run or run that as a Cloud Function. You also have different data options. For example, if you want to store data into a Firestore database or Cloud SQL, you can do all of that. So bottom line is you have a lot of different options, a lot more options with Google Cloud as serving as your backend. After considering the different options for an AI solution with cloud, here's a generic AppSheet plus GCP AI architecture that we'll be referring to in the remainder of this session. The following slides will now show step-by-step how to build the components of a more sophisticated AppSheet and GCP AI architecture. As before, the best way to get started with Cloud AI is by going to AI Studio, which for GCP is located under Vertex AI in your Cloud Console. For example, this screenshot shows a test of a multimodal prompt with an image of sprinklers overflowing on a sidewalk, and a text prompt asking, "What is wrong with this picture?" with Gemini's response indicating that the sprinkler is spraying onto the sidewalk instead of grass. This response would be perfect to automatically log a maintenance ticket. Returning to our architecture diagram, this experimental phase represents the first step in building a full AI architecture. After experimenting with different test prompts, AI Studio allows you to click the Get Code button, and it will generate a code sample for your prompt, which can then be run locally in your environment. For example, we'll generate Python code to interface with Gemini. It can also be helpful to do a quick test with a curl code snippet. For those not familiar with curl, it's simply a command line tool for getting or posting data to a URL endpoint. Once you've generated code that works locally, a next step would be to execute the code in a cloud environment so that it can be accessed by other cloud technologies like AppSheet. So for this example, a Cloud Run instance will be set up. So once your Cloud Run instance is set up and published, you will be able to execute it via a URL endpoint. This endpoint will be used as an interface to AppSheet later. And with your published Cloud Run service, you can then further customize the code to add a database such as Firestore. For this example, we'll also add code to enable the Cloud Run endpoint to be published as an Open API compliant service. As an Open API service, AppSheet will then be able to connect to it as a data source. To access your Open API service from AppSheet, a new data source in AppSheet can be created with the service's URL. And once the data source connection is created in AppSheet, you can then create an AppSheet app with it serving as a back-end data source. Similar to other data sources used with AppSheet, we'll create a new app with existing data. And here is our final AppSheet GCP AI architecture with the newly created AppSheet app connected to our Open API/Cloud Run service. Note, the final step is to share the AppSheet images folder in Drive with our GCP project via a service account, so it can send the image to Gemini. Here's a demo that uses this exact architecture. Okay, so now we're looking at the final version of our app here that has the GCP backend that's in communication with Gemini. So the story is that we have essentially a simple electric car dealership and repair facility. And what we're looking at is a repair technician, and the repair technician will get scheduled repair requests, right? So here's like an incoming set of repair requests that are coming in. So we see Vera Lou has submitted something here. And so she says like she damaged her wheel while parking and she needs to bring in the car for repair. So in this case, we have this smart advice option here. So the technician will be able to go through and allow the customer to actually take a photo. So in this sense, there's the photo there that has been sent in. And then click save. And so what this will do is save this to the AppSheet app in the background and then send it to Gemini for analysis. And so Gemini will basically look at the photo that's been uploaded and then provide a recommendation on how to proceed forward. Okay, so the image came back and we say, okay, the wheel's damaged and needs to be replaced. So no big deal there. We have our broken tire. We'll go ahead and then take that information and look for any matching parts. And there we can see we have essentially like any number of rims that we could replace it with. So I'll select one. And then we have an option here on the bottom right where I can go through and then select to create an actual order. So we're going to order this particular part for the repair job. So basically, as you can see, this is a simple mobile app that allows Gemini to provide analysis from an image and then start a repair process from both the consumer as well as the technician. In summary, when considering an AI solution with AppSheet, you have different options with the different personas supported. For pure no-code development, you can build AI solutions with the built-in AI features already in AppSheet. This includes quick app creation for business developers via text prompts, along with easy AI integration for end users. For AppSheet Workspace AI solutions, a low-code approach can be supported with direct API access to Workspace and Google Cloud AI using AppScript. Recall that AppScript can leverage the broad scope of Workspace services for diverse use cases. For AppSheet AI solutions that are integrated with Cloud AI, you get to leverage the full power of Cloud GCP AI, as you'll have access to all the AI features. Similar to before, you can still easily add AppSheet UI front ends to Cloud AI Pro Dev solutions. You can find further resources for building AI solutions with AppSheet and Google Cloud in the description below. Thank you for joining me on this fun session on building AI solutions with AppSheet, Workspace, and Cloud AI.